Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the show for leaders who want real results, not more noise. Join Emanuel Rose as he helps business builders turn AI from a confusing add-on into a practical advantage with clearer messaging, stronger trust, and smarter systems. If you felt a shift happening in real time, you're not imagining it. In the Agentic pivot, Emanuel calls it the move from experimenting with AI to building with it, so it supports your team, your brand, and your growth. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI. I'm Emanuel Rose. My guest today is Stefan Debois, founder and CEO of PointerPro, an assessment platform that helps professional services firms automate advisory work and scale client interactions. After 15 years in consulting, Stefan applies product thinking to turn diagnostic conversations into repeatable, measurable workflows. Today, we'll focus on how assessments can drive qualification, advisory automation, and real revenue outcomes. Stefan, thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
Thank you, Emanuel, for having me.
I've been looking forward to digging in and seeing what's going on. So talk to me a little bit about what kind of consulting you were doing before you conceived of this and put your energy into building a SaaS product for the rest of us.
Yeah, sure. I actually started back in '98, so a long time ago, for what was called then Price Waterhouse. Then they merged soon after I joined with Coopers and Lybrand, so that became PwC. And in consulting, I did it. I was first started as a junior consultant, mostly in ERP, enterprise resource planning systems like SAP, like large-scale implementations at mostly corporate clients, and then moved on to project management and account management, a bit the traditional career path. But at a certain moment, as I'm an engineer, I wanted really to make things, to create software. That was my preference, and to bring that to the market. So then in 2012, I decided to found my own company and to leave consulting.
Well, that is. How did you decide on this small piece of the marketing puzzle? What was the motivation?
Yeah, like to choose which type of software to launch was a bit. There was not like a very sophisticated methodology behind it. So I thought, like, first I wanted to do something in CRM, customer relationship management, but then I thought, like, this market is already quite crowded even back then. So we experimented with some other ideas, and then we put a free version online of what was called back then tablet quiz. That was at the time that the first iPads came out and so on. So there were like a lot of apps for tablets and for mobile phones also. And there were no quiz apps yet. So as a hobby project, I launched a quiz app for iPad. And then afterwards, we extended towards like surveys and assessments, quizzes. I mean, it's all in the same family, basically.
And how many people on your team now?
Now we are 20 people.
Wow.
So we are operating in many different countries. I mean, from a customer's perspective, we have customers in 50, so 50 different countries, but mostly in the, let's say, in the Western countries, like Western Europe, North America, and then Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, and how many coders do you have working for you?
We don't like to call them coders.
Engineers, developers.
They manage the tools that do actually the coding. They also code and also review, of course, the code themselves. I think we have 5 of them now, and yeah, indeed, it is a transformation from doing the actual coding towards steering the AI to write the right code. But inside the complex system like ours, where there is a lot of code from in the past and a lot of complex functionalities, it's not that straightforward to have just everything vibe coded. If, yeah, as if this videos that you see on YouTube where you can simple app, you can vibe code it, of course, right away, but that's not the same
No.
for complex enterprise application where there's a lot of customers who are really doing business critical things on it. So, I mean, an error can also have heavy consequences.
Absolutely. And are you guys a Claude shop or a Kodak shop? What do you prefer to use?
Yeah, for the internal automation, so beside the coding, we use Cloud Cowork, and for the coding, we probably also will lean towards cloud, but we're still experimenting with Cursor and cloud, and then also what is it, Windsurf, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is it about PointerPro that is unique compared to other survey and questionnaire type SaaS?
Yeah, we started off as survey builder. So the survey builder is primarily data collection. Yeah. And what we do is assessments. And what we mean by that is that after the questionnaire has been taken, we like to say it normally stops like, thank you for participating in our survey. And then it ends. For us, that's the beginning. Yeah. Because afterwards, we use the information from the assessment to give personalized advice. And you have to think about use cases like maturity assessments, like also HR assessments. For example, cybersecurity maturity, where you answer like a number of questions, like do you have antivirus on your PCs, but also more sophisticated questions, of course. And then get a report like your maturity is 2 out of 5, and here's what you can do to improve. And of course, if you have 2 out of 5, the content that is displayed in the report will be different than if you have 4 out of 5, of course. The advice will be different. So that advice can be configured using no code logic to say like if you have answered that you don't have antivirus, then the advice is, for example, install antivirus. Very simple case, but it can also be more complex. So it can be deterministic logic, but it can also be AI logic. So you can feed the answers of the assessment into an AI prompt and give it some context, and then the result of that prompt will be in the report. And you have also, of course, human in the loop. You are able to check that report before you send it to your customer, because most people will still like to do it. And I mean, we of course support that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what type of companies are getting good results with PointerPro right now?
It's professional services companies who use assessments as part of their core business. And then we are mostly talking about HR, professional service providers that do assessments for the employees of their clients. Yeah. So mostly large-scale upskilling programs, like people that we have, for example, HR service providers in that train sales forces, for example, or other types of typical profiles, and have a known methodology for it. And they've translated this methodology into an assessment and also these advice reports, and they want to deploy that at large scale for their customers, basically. So that's the main use case.
Yeah, that's good. I'm wondering from the time that somebody decides that their company is going to move forward with you, how long does it take to onboard and get the surveys or the questions live?
Depend on the complexity, but it's from 2 to 6 weeks when they have everything ready. For example, we see companies that have everything ready, meaning that they have, for example, everything in Excel with complex logic with 20 tabs and everything, but at least the logic is there.
Yeah.
then it goes pretty quickly. But yeah, when they're not yet that far, or there is still discussion on what exactly the content should be and stuff like that, then it takes a bit longer. But it's never more than 6 weeks.
Yeah, I see. So it's interesting. You have kind of an AI supported answering process, and then a human in the loop if they're going to use that type of system.
You can really in the report imagine, like, because we are on a podcast, of course, but imagine like a typical maturity report, like for cybersecurity, for example. You have, and it's different categories, for example, data privacy, and then all what you have in cybersecurity. You have 3 out of 5 on data privacy. Here's what you can do. Like the qualitative data, like the scoring, is mostly deterministic, of course. Yeah? And
Sure.
most companies, they have a model, they have a methodology to calculate that scoring. They put it in our tool. That's not that difficult. But then the qualitative information, like what do you have to do if you have 3 out of 5 and you have answered these questions, these things on these questions, including multiple choice and open-ended questions. Then they used to have a consultant who adds the qualitative information to the report.
Right. Sure.
And now it's pre-generated via AI, let's say. It's pre-generated like a paragraph with advice for that customer. It's pre-generated, but it's still reviewed by the consultant. So it's not like 100% automatic, but at least, yeah, if they say save 70% of the time from a consultant who is reviewing that, that's already significant, of course.
Yeah, it's a big time savings for the consultant for sure. Well, were you doing before AI in order to get clients, and what are you doing now with AI Assist to get clients? Talk to me a little bit about the marketing for Pointer Pro.
Yeah, the marketing was inbound, mainly inbound since the beginning, since the back in the time that we are still a survey tool. So inbound, that means content, that means also link building, because that used to work very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were pretty successful with that, and also guest blogging and so. But of course, the qualitative stuff, not like just buying links and these kind of things, um, but really see or ensure that you're mentioned at yeah, in publications that are important for your industry or the target audience that you want to focus on. So and then with AI, we have seen, and that is very important, I think, that the traffic from Google organic declined, yeah,
Mhm.
significantly, and of course compensated by an increase in traffic from the ChatGPTs and the AI tools.
Sure.
But the increase of traffic from the AI tools was not enough to compensate the decline from Google. Yeah. On the other hand, the quality of the prospects that come in via the AI tools is better than on average than what we used to have from Google. Well, we still have from Google, of course, but the quantity is less. So what we see is that people are better prepared, even better than before. I think before Google, there was nothing like they had to come immediately to a vendor to to get information about the product that they were looking for.
Sure.
After with Google, they could research the internet, and then it's further in the funnel that they come in contact with you. Now with AI, it's even further in the funnel that they come in contact with you, because we see people that are really well prepared, that have done like using AI, of course, really deep analysis of our capabilities, and that's the question that they still have are often quite specific, sometimes not available on our website, and then we have some homework to do, of course.
Yeah.
So deeper in the funnel, but less quantity, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? If you think about even how you're using that type of research, and like, give me the three best performers in a category for me to go and do some research on, and it really, the answer engines or generative engines really narrow it down very
Yeah.
quickly to some assessment. You want to make sure that you're putting in a good prompt to get the answers that you want on those questions.
Yeah, before they asked like to Google what is the best assessment software. So and then we showed up, and now they ask, yeah, I need to do a 360 assessment, and I'm a HR consultant. The data has to be in Europe. It has to be white labeled, and we have about 100 responses per month. What is the best tool? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So then
And
you, you
the AI is able to recommend something that makes sense, and we have to. Our reaction to that has to be that all the this all the answers to these questions need to be on the website, need to be very clear. For example, where is the data? We have data that is in the EU, and we have also a server in Australia because we have quite some customers there.
sure.
These kind of things were not publicly available, like back when we still had our traffic from Google.
Yeah.
Now we have checked all the sales calls and like typical questions that customers ask, and we have put that all very clearly on the site that
Nice.
both people and AI can find it.
Yeah. And so now we have the humans doing the searching. We have the LLMs doing assessments, and now we also have AI agents who are
Yeah,
crawling and looking for information. So what we used to think was a stratified program has now just gotten even more stratified in the considerations we have to make for our content, especially a company like yours that has been going since 2012. You have a lot of content that maybe is not being searched by the LMs because they like something that's no older than 18 months. So, what are you doing to refurbish or rehab old content?
yeah. Some of the content we just delete because
Uh-huh.
it's no more relevant,
Wow.
or some of the things that have no traffic, and also that we see. We have been doing like a lot of really top of funnel in the past, like already years ago. Some of that is not that relevant anymore, we think. So that's one thing, and the other ones, yeah, we updated them. Like for example, we have an article with best practice about assessment reports, like how do you make a good assessment report, both design and content. We had new examples. I mean, we get new experience from customers, of course, from professional services projects that we do. So we
Yeah.
can add some content. So that's always useful. I think there's a lot of things that change with AI, but the fact that you need to have high quality content, and that you need to be like they talk about you or they mention you on high authority sites,
Yeah.
whether it's without link or with link. I mean, that's maybe changed a bit, but the fact that PointerPro is mentioned on these sites, that will stay, and that will also, with the evolution of AI, it will always stay. So we are working on that, like we have been working on that, on making sure that we get mentioned, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah. I love it. I think the press release project is and podcast project is probably one of the more important things that people should be paying attention to for the foreseeable future. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's also the face to face, like we are doing the podcast now. You couldn't do that with a bot. Well, maybe in theory you could do that, but it would not look the same, or people would be less likely to consume the content, I think.
Yeah.
That's more a belief, I think. We say that also with our customers, like the only thing that will not be replaced by technology is the actual customer relationship.
Yeah.
And we think we should have it because we have a lot of like we are also customers with like Google or AWS, and they try to make everything automatic. I don't think that's the right way. We should still have a relationship with the customer. It doesn't have to be your best friend,
Yeah.
but just that you know each other from like a video conference, of course. Not face to face is not needed if you have operations around the world. But this is still important, I think, and that will
I
also
agree.
not change, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like to hold the distinction between a client somebody whose concerns that you hold as your own versus a customer, right? And that level of caring is what differentiates us between a computer.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that will never be taken over by computer, I think.
no, I agree 100%. And well, what's kind of the product roadmap going forward for this next foreseeable future, Stefan?
Yeah, so I've talked about the inclusion of AI in the really the advice generation. We call that the AI widget, where we have the response on the assessment, which is converted into personalized advice using AI. So that's something that we already have. Then the other thing is ask your data, that you can like talk to your data, because like the dashboards that we generate with aggregated reports and all the information that you collect using the assessments, those dashboards can be made in self-service by customers, but there are still some people, or like even a lot of people with dashboards, and they have to select the data, and it's you don't have to be a programmer, but it becomes kind of complex,
Yeah,
especially if the underlying data is complex. Then some people do not like to do that, or and they benefit from a like a prompt interface. Just ask your data what you need from the data, and like
yeah,
what is the trends, how many female respondents have answered that question with more than 50% or so, whatever, or what is the trend, like also in open-ended answers, that you can have it summarized and deriving trends and stuff like that. So that's certainly something that we are working on, that we already have in prototype also for selected customers. And then we have also the agentic part that's more for the future, but we are looking at that now. Is that really the whole organization of the assessment process? You have to imagine, like, we have a lot of consultants who do work with their clients and who do kind of 360 assessments, maybe quite specific, but that's meaning that different people assess you, and then everything is take put in a nicely looking report. It's very
yeah,
valuable for the one who is assessed. The whole process, like sending out the email, collecting the information, putting in the report, and everything, also interpreting the data, is done by an agent. And the agent replacing most of the consulting work, except the face-to-face workshop or advice that has to be given. Most consultants like to do it still face-to-face,
yeah,
and I mean that's rightfully so. But all the other work, like the sending reminders because you did not yet fill in the assessment for this
right.
person. Please do it before the 20th of April, because then we have the workshop. This kind of, yeah, more operational things, having that done by an agent, that is also on the roadmap for us.
I love it. I think it's these operational or administrative tasks we should be pushing to the software anyway, and let us continue to do the human first work. So I love that. I love to hear that. Well, Stefan, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and have a conversation about making assessments or some kind of questionnaire project, how would they do that?
Yeah, sure. I'm most active on LinkedIn, I think. So you can just Stefan Debois, PointerPro, look me up there, or you can also go on our website. It has information on of our product, but also on like use cases, also things that are useful without necessarily using our product immediately. And also when you get in touch with me, we can talk about automations of assessments or other things, or marketing, AI, whatever you want to talk about. I always like to exchange ideas.
All right. Well, it was a real pleasure to have you on the show, and congratulations on 14 years of success. And I hope you have another 14 years going forward, Stefan.
It's overnight success takes 14 years.
You know it. Nothing worth having is easy. We know this. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed the conversation. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Emanuel.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think it's a great reminder from an experienced SaaS creator, which is we're looking and see how we can get the agents doing organization and operational administrative tasks, so that we're freed up to continue doing the things that are human and that are the most human part of it, which is the relationships and the conversations, and enjoying being doing some work on behalf of other people. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Stefan Debois from PointerPro, and that if you have assessment needs, that you get in touch with him. Hope that you continue to do your research and find tools and techniques within the realm of AI that helps save you time. And with that time, that you continue to upskill, that you spend it with your friends and family, and that you get away from the screens, outside into nature, and see what's going on there as well. This is Emanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.